With Borderlands 3 set to be released in 4 months, die-hard fans of the series, like myself, cannot wait to get hands-on with it. However, for the time being, we'll have to make do with Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, and pre-sequel. Now, whilst they are brilliant games, I can't help but feel a little sad that I'm stuck doing the same things that I've been doing since like 2012. I've completed 1 and 2 dozens of times, collected all the weapons, and almost got 100% achievements on both of them, except pre-sequel. And after some of the things that we saw in the gameplay for Borderlands 3, it's kind of putting me off playing 1 and 2 because of how excited I am for the third one and how much more cooler stuff it has in it, which we don't have in 1, 2 and pre-sequel. If we look at some of the things that we've seen in the Borderlands 3 gameplay reveal, you'll see exactly what I mean by this. The first thing is how epic it is that they've kept the starting sequence exactly the same as the first and the second game. You know, you meet Claptrap and he gives you an echo device, and he talks about that for a few minutes. And then moving on into the first part of the actual gameplay, the first thing that strikes me as new and awesome is we find out we've got guns with different firing modes. The first one we pick up is a pistol, which fires normal bullets, and if you switch firing mode, it fires mini missiles. Even down to things like the reticle. When you fire the weapon, the reticle expands to account for the recoil and stuff like that. I love that little bit of detail. The subtle details are amazing. Also, before we move on to the next part, I just want to play you the clip of my favourite bit in the whole reveal trailer. It's just Claptrap singing and just being weird, like he always is, but it's just amazing. I love it. Claptrap's the best. Moving swiftly on. After this, we go into the first part of the game where we find enemies, and again, just down to the little details. The new enemy health bars look awesome. Just a little bit of humour, you know, they're always shouting random stuff, the psychos always do. And again, these are small details that I love. I love just small details. Like things like they've also added the destructible cover, like you see in other games. I think like Battlefield has it, and a few other games like that. And I think that's so cool, because you can't just hide behind something for ages and expect to be fine. You will eventually get shot if you hide behind a brick wall. And then we also see, next we've got like oil that you can set on fire and it does burn over time damage to enemies. I think stuff like that is really cool. Moving on a bit further into the gameplay, we come across our first mini-boss, named Shiv. He's a bandit slash psycho with one tiny arm, holding a knife of sorts, and one giant arm. And again, also they've kept the boss intros exactly the same style. You know, the boss will jump off something high, or you know, do something cool, and then it goes to slow motion, and it will show a tagline slash like motto for each boss. And we have the same here. And as soon as a boss fight starts, one of the game engineers that are playing it, he uses Amara, the Siren's new ability. One of them anyway, it's Slam. And as you see, he jumps up and then slams back down with a lot of force, and it looks like it just knocks the enemies back and takes a nice chunk of their health at the same time. And also, at the end of this boss fight, how he kills the boss is something cool as well. It's a new feature they've added, whereas you can melee things like explosive barrels, and they will go towards the enemy without blowing up, and then you can shoot them, and then it will blow up where it is. So I can hit it, it will go flying, get right next to a boss, and then you can shoot it and blow it up and do a load of AoE damage to the boss and anyone around him. After the boss fight, we get to see a familiar face, finally, after we've saved Claptrap, because he always needs saving. We see Lilith, and she has an epic entrance, like there's no doubt about that. She comes down like a meteor in a blaze of fire with angel wings. Like, what? That's so cool. Like, just little things are amazing. And then we get inducted into the Crimson Raiders, which we expected anyway. After some more blood and guts being spilled, a few minutes later we get to finally see the new skill tree and how it works, but I am still a bit confused on how it works because there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. There's not just normal skills, you've got multiple skills you can choose from, and then you get to augment them and stuff, so I'm not quite sure how it works. So I'm going to let a bit of video play where the dev explains how it works properly.
So I want to take the time to show you the skill trees in Borderlands 3. All right. So when you first get your skills in Borderlands 3, you don't just have one action skill available to you, you have all 3 action skills available to you at the moment you open it up. So then what you do is you equip one of your action skills. Do we want to take a look at the action skills? So this first one is Phase Grasp. Now Phase Grasp will be reminiscent of Maya in that she'll be able to control the battlefield by lifting enemies up into the air. The next one here is Phase Cast. With Phase Cast, she'll shoot out a spectral form of herself to kill enemies on the battlefield. And finally, we have Phase Slam. Now, Phase Slam is an area of effect that comes out around Amara and destroys enemies and knocks them back. So now as you progress, once you've picked your action skill and equipped it, you'll also open up augmentations that allow you to further customize that action skill. So there's a way to maximize the build of your character.
We've worked hard to make sure that each of our 4 characters is completely unique, but even within each character, there are hundreds of meaningful options. If 2 people want to team up and play the same character, they will very likely have completely different capabilities.
You ready to go?
Let's do it.
Skipping ahead a few minutes, we finally get to see our first, good weapon drop. We get to see one of the purples, an epic weapon. They find it in one of these weird looking toilet things, I don't know what it is. They open it and it's got a purple in there and a normal weapon in there, I think it's a blue. Yeah, it's a blue. And we get to see all the stats on it and stuff like this. And then, next thing they do is they bring in a co-op player to show off their new loot system, and they call it loot instancing. So, say if there's 4 people in the game, you open a chest, you take every gun. The other players that are still there will get to take the guns as well, because they will have exactly the same guns in the chest. So it doesn't matter if you quickly steal them, they'll still get the exact same guns in their game, but it will scale to their level, like it shows in the video. The co-op player is level 25, and the main player is level 5. So the weapons she gets level 5, but his ones scale to his level. Obviously the damage scales and all that stuff, the same as enemies, as we find out later. Everything scales to their level, but it doesn't matter because you can still, if you want to join your friend's game with a high level character and boost them through it, you can still do that, because they also tell us that there's a mode called Classic Mode where that is still an option and nothing scales. So you can drag your low level friends into your max level game and get them a lot of XP if you still want to, because they know people like getting level boosts from their friends and stuff, so they're not going to take that out of the game. And then again the devs start going into how Zane's skill tree will work, and yet again I'm going to let them explain it because it's very confusing.
Seen Zane the Operative, let's have a look at what he can do. Since Zane is level 25, we've already equipped a lot of action skills and our skill points here. You want to walk us through this, Paul?
Yeah, let's do this. All right, so the first skill we have is Digiclone. Now Digiclone is really cool because it not only acts as a decoy, it will actually shoot guns as well, but probably my favorite feature is the fact that you can teleport to your Digiclone at any time and swap places. This next ability is called the Sentinel. Now the Sentinel is an autonomous drone that'll fly out to enemies and weaken those enemies, or even use your grenades if you have grenade mods equipped. And then we have the barrier skill. Now Zane will throw out a barrier in front of it and it'll block incoming bullets and things like that. But of course, one of the coolest features is that if your team or Zane are around this barrier, sometimes it'll confer benefits like healing, or even if you fire through it, it'll add elemental types to that. Now, probably my favorite feature of Zane is the fact that Zane can use 2 action skills at one time.
That's right. And if you think about it, if you think about Zane, right, like he's got his barrier, which is kind of like the soldier class's capability with that turret. He's got the Sentinel, which is you know, almost like Mordecai's Bloodwing, but a little hyped up from that.
Sure, yeah.
He's got the Digiclone, which is kind of like our assassin skill from Borderlands 2. He's kind of like a soldier, a hunter, and an assassin all wrapped up in one.
After this, we're finally shown what we saw in the trailer. Guns with legs. Woo! And never really shown much of it, but it's basically a teddy or weapon. TD or weapon, teddy or whatever you call it. Usually you reload them and it throws it. But in this one, you throw it and it runs across the floor with legs and shoots people. That's one of them, and then it showed another one, whereas you throw it, it explodes and it sends out 3-4 homing missiles that find enemies and chase them until it gets them. Which again, is cool, it's a nice little feature. I don't think they're going to do much damage, but it helps. Every little helps. And one next cool thing is the ammo machines, as you see here. When you access it, you can just, instead of going through and pressing X to refill every individual ammo, you can just press Y and it buys ammo for everything instead of just, you know, doing it individually, which takes ages. So just access the machine, press Y, and then you're back out straight away. After that, we're introduced to our second boss, mini-boss. He's called Mouthpiece. And he's some cyberpunk Batman looking dude who has a shield that looks like an equalizer, because why not? And he has a gun that shoots like dubstep stuff like Saints Row, if you remember that. And obviously after we kill him, we get his dubstep gun. Awesome! And for those of us that have got the deluxe edition of the game, you get to you get like gold skins you can put on guns. So I'm definitely going to make the dubstep gun gold. Like, there's no doubt about it. I'm going to keep that all the way through the game forever. Sorry about my voice. Been talking for a while now. After that, after we kill the boss, a few minutes later, it takes us to our new home, Sanctuary. Sanctuary 3. And it's a frickin' spaceship. How cool is that? And inside we can find a lot of the characters we already know in their own quarters. We see Hammerlock, Ellie, Moxie, Maya, and some of the other ones. We also have a machine that we can use to recover lost loot. Again, just details like that are amazing. How many times have you gone into a game, killed a boss, and not been able to find the gun because it's been launched across the map and hidden behind a rock and you can't get to it? This saves that. If you lose that gun, it will be in that machine as soon as you get back to Sanctuary. Top-notch game development there, Gearbox. I believe that's one of the best features you've added. We've all had that.
Because we're playing Amara right now, all of the decoration, everything is built around Amara. But you can see that you can place items that you find in the world like this gun. All right, we got a Torg pistol here.
Pretty rad.
But again, you can modify your player quarters to how you want to play.
Since we picked up a pistol, we'll take it with us on a tour around Sanctuary. And why don't we stop first? Let's head over to Marcus. Just keep going. Ignore that golden chest.
And last but not least, I think the biggest feature, or one of the biggest features in this game, is the fact that we can now use our Sanctuary spaceship home floating fortress thing to travel to other worlds. We can hyperspace flight travel to other worlds, and in this we can only see 2 worlds, which is Pandora and Promethea, but they did say we will unlock more worlds as we go along, so I'm guessing that means more vaults, maybe dozens. And after playing Borderlands 1, 2 and the pre-sequel, that's what we want. Well, at least I do. I want more than one vault in each game. You know, some of them that are just loot-filled, some have got giant enemies. They just need to make loads of them, and I'd love it if they kept updating it every few months to add more in. That'd be amazing. And then we do eventually travel to Promethea in this gameplay reveal, and we learned that apparently the company Atlas is under siege by the company Maliwan, but we don't hear much about that and why. I guess they're going to save that for when we actually play the game. And then after a bit more shooting and a bit more, you know, blood splattering everywhere, we are finally reintroduced to Zero, the character from Borderlands 2, and that's the last thing we see, really. Oh, we also met a character called Lorelei, but they skipped her intro scene earlier when they changed to a different character thing. And then it cuts back to the stage, and that's it. That's all we get from the gameplay reveal. Obviously, if you went and watched some of the other streamers streaming it afterwards, you might have seen more. I didn't. I was quite happy with what we saw on the reveal. I don't want to see much more, you know. I'm happy waiting until September. Well, I'm not happy waiting until September. I don't think any of us are. But I don't want to watch anymore. I've seen enough. So that's it, guys. That's the gameplay reveal. What did you like about it? What was your favourite bits? I know I have mine. Claptrap, obviously, like I said. And now, just going to keep my eyes out for any more news that comes out. And try and sleep for 4 months so I can wake up and play Borderlands. But apart from that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Again, I'm sorry if my voice sounds a bit weird, but I'm still getting used to the whole narrating over videos. I still find it a bit weird. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you liked about the reveal, what you can't wait to see, and how pumped you are for Borderlands. And cheers for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Ciao.